when you're running ads, right, you sort of just look at, okay, the cost per result is happening. I can bear with this. Like for example, this is about 20 ringgit per purchase. I think it's fine. And my T2 is 12 per purchase. You know, I'm comfortable. But then again, right, have you ever thought of finding out how can you improvise? You see, here's the thing that differentiates between normal Facebook advertisers and, you know, good Facebook advertisers. Now, good Facebook advertisers always ask this question: how can I improvise? How can I do better? If I'm actually getting good result right now, meaning that now I'm actually getting good result, what did I did right or wrong? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Is it because of the ad? Is it because of the audience targeting? Or is it because of the objective that I'm choosing? What actually you did right or wrong? On the other side, if it's not performing, then of course we also need to find out what did we do wrong, right? That's why I want to give you a very interesting perspective. So I have this so-called methodology when it comes to analyzing Facebook ads. This is really, I'm just gonna use this as an example. You cannot apply this 100% to your campaign because every campaign has got its own unique so-called, we call this the action funnel. Action funnel means you actually bring out clarity in every steps of the action. You bring it out in a, you know, laid out like this on the ads manager to give you a very clear idea on every step when you're like, let's say for example, when you reach X number of people, how many percent of them click, then how many percent of them landed, how many percent of them take the next step, and so on and so forth. So you want to bring out all this data so that you can have better idea on where to tweak, what to tweak. And that's where we call this the action funnel. So I'm gonna just use this and give you an example. So I'm just gonna switch it over. Now, if you do not know that, I want you to go into, whenever you want to analyze a campaign, you go into custom columns and you're able to build a lot of things. So once you build the funnel, so-called the framework or the dashboard that you want, you can actually save it. So if in case you haven't explored this thing, I urge you to go into the customized columns. You have a lot of things to dissect, but like I mentioned just now, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to get carried away by too much crazy things that you want to track. So you want to track the right thing. So I'm going to show you what is an example of tracking the right thing. Okay, so this is my campaign. This is a campaign that I run to get people to sign up to my 3-day challenge. So it's a 3-day challenge that we really work together live for 3 days to build your next so-called money-making Facebook group. So if you miss that, watch out to my email. Yeah, then we actually later towards the end of this sharing, I'll be giving you the link to sign up if you want to. So I was actually started experimenting with some ads over here. When I run ads, the first thing first, of course, I will pay attention to the amount spent and the cost per result, but that's not really the ultimate thing that we track. Of course, the cost per result, we need to keep an eye. We need to know that we need to at least stay at a comfortable cost per result, but you also have to 100% understand that you're not paying cost per result, okay? The cost per result is really only the average cost that you're paying for every result you get. So when you're running ads on Facebook, you're actually paying every time it shows, okay? Every time you show your ad, every time you appear in front of the audience, you pay. So that's the reason why you want to keep an eye on your CPM. The CPM is a very important thing. So first thing first, we will look at the reach, because the CPM will decide your reach, the number of reach. So let's say so just now we were looking at the CPM was somewhere standing at, where's my CPM? My CPM, how come? Okay, my CPM is 26 ringgit. So averagely, I'm able to reach about 100. I was able to get people show my ads 1,000 times every time I pay. I mean, every time I show 1,000 times, I will be paying about 26 ringgit over here. So I will look at the reach and impressions. Okay, so the reach and impressions is really something that we will actually monitor, and then we will look at the number of clicks that we are getting. But you see, between reach and impression, you also want to keep an eye on one thing that is very important, which is the frequency. Now, if you look at this, I actually pull out another number over here, which is the frequency, you see. Okay, so for any campaign, in my opinion, especially if you use my 2-step funnel framework, your T1 must be below 2. If your T1 is above 2, then you have trouble in your exclusion. So if it's actually above 2, I mean, I'm talking about 7 days period. You don't give me the whole like one year campaign, then it's 5 or 6, then that's a different story to tell. But we look at a weekly basis, okay? It has to be below 2 because that is really where we want to avoid overreaching. We want to make sure that our tier 1 is constantly reaching the fresh audience. Okay, fair? So if you're not familiar with this two-step funnel framework, guys, I would strongly recommend that you go through my 6-day challenge. It is no longer a live training, but you can still go to my website and join the 6-day challenge. It's a recording of 6 hours in 6 lessons, where I walk you through every single aspect that you need to learn about how to build this Facebook ads campaign using my two-step funnel framework. We have a few of you who actually gone through that. So yeah, I would say if you want to really understand my methodology, you have to go through that. So we will be able to be on the same page, right? So we will look at the frequency. So the frequency has to be below 2 for T1. Now for T2, of course you can be higher, but of course we also want to set a cap. But for T2 frequency cap, it is entirely depending on what is the objective that you're trying to achieve with your T2. Like for example, some of a T2, I'll push it to even over 5, as in like the frequency. Why? Because I want to create a kind of urgency and I want to create a kind of exposure. And it's only for a short period of time. I wouldn't mind doing this kind of exercise. So this is where you do your adjustment over here. Okay. So from there, right? So we want to keep the frequency at the, healthy level. So we will start looking at first thing first. Okay. You see the number of people that you reach and the number of clicks that you're getting and the number of link clicks that you're getting versus the landing page. Now, this is the very basic of the action funnel. So from here, out of how many people you reach, how many percent of them click through, as in like all clicks, and how many percent of them actually click on the link, and how many percent of them landed. So this is where we actually look at the CTR. Okay, now the CTR is really because when you run an ads, right, there are many things that you can click. So you can click on the picture, you can click on the like button. So these are all the clicks that you get. But ultimately, we also want to drill into the CTR link click, meaning that the call to action button. So that's why I put this CTR all and CTR link click. So I mean the benchmark, I would say, if you to be on the healthy side, right, your CTR all has to be on the 2% and above. And your CTR link click has to be at least 1% and above. So this is something that I've been talking about for a long time. So if you are not having good CTR, there are only 2 reasons that might cause the problem. One of them is you have the wrong audience, which I will usually not consider this as a problem unless I truly believe that whenever you're running ads on Facebook, you somehow know who are the people that you want to reach. So usually you wouldn't be really targeting the, super wrong audience. Okay, so if you have low CTR, if you confirm and you're very certain that your audience is the right one, then it should be the ad problem. Yeah, so that's where, I mean, this is on a general perspective on how do we dissect a campaign. So if you have good CTR, then okay, I mean, that's there. And for T2, right, usually you should have even better CTR. You get what I mean? Meaning that, like, as you can see here, I have 4% and have 1.33. So yeah, so this is where actually you keep a healthy campaign going. We usually, okay, we may look at the cost per click or something, which is, of course, that's the kind of like the thing that we want to track. However, it may not be the ultimate thing. So as long as we look at the whole thing, we're comfortable, then we want to get a better flow coming in. So how else can we read from this one? So let's say, for example, your CTR is okay. So impression and reach, okay, we can let it rest. And then we look at the clicks. So let's say link clicks. Now we want to look at the dropout rate. Now, one of the possibility of a trouble campaign and one of a so-called situation, a scenario, is you may have good clicks, but you have really poor landing page view. That means a lot of people click, but they did not land. So either it's because it could be because you're targeting in a certain area where the internet connection is not that good, or you have a really screw up hosting that is not loading. So yeah, so this could be an angle that we want to look into. Let's say, for example, our benchmark is usually about 50%. So let's say for 60 clicks, we have 32 land, this is healthy. and you have 10 clicks, you have 6 land, this is healthy. But if you imagine you have 60 clicks and you're only like 10 land, then your website seriously have issue. Agree or not? Right? So that's where we actually look into, like, let's say, for example, now 32 land, right? So we will actually look very further to this thing. So 32 land, 27 initiated checkout. So that's healthy, meaning that, okay, the people who got in are the right people because they initiate checkout, meaning that they are interested. And out of which, right, we have about, how many purchase? We have 7 purchase. So 7 purchase means we actually achieve less than 30% conversion rate from this one. Okay, not too shabby, but can be better. That's why our T2 will come in. You just imagine, right? So 27 people who initiated checkout, 7 purchase on T1. And then we serve them the T2, right? 9 of them actually, really initiated checkout again, and 3 of them, so-called, we converted. So at least, right, our so-called our hypothesis that we will actually build over here is, at least out of the 27 people, actually we convert about 30% of them. So that keeps the whole campaign structure healthy. I'll say, okay, that's healthy. We can keep this going for a while. So that's really kind of like the way I read data. But of course, you can use this as a reference. I strongly hope that this gives you a better idea. But every campaign is unique, like I mentioned. So this is where I will go in with you on your campaign to do the exercise that we did on one campaign. So if you have 2-step funnel, then of course we look at the overall T1, T2. If you're not, then we will go in and look at one campaign. So based on that one campaign, I'm going to dissect. I'm going to actually tell you what did you do right or wrong on your Facebook ads campaign. And I'm going to give you actionable insights like how I show you just now. Immediately I can tell you, okay, this is not doing well. This is the number that is really not going anywhere. We need to fix this. So these are one-on-one Facebook ads audit.